Okay,
And that
listen.
is how you make cheese.
No. Times 1,000.
So that's why it probably tastes like, like when the milk goes bad before it turns into cheese. It's kind of like that consistency and thing.
Okay.
Only black colored.
Yeah. Hi, I am Caitlin,
And I am Charlie.
and welcome to Outsmarting the Shadows, where we help you survive horror movies.
That we do, surviving horror movies.
So, I went completely off my schedule. We were supposed to watch Annabelle Creation, but I did that because you found this horror movie and you added it to our list, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I just saw the poster.
Yeah, it's this random movie I saw, kind of like the trailer, and said, okay, maybe we can watch this one. It's called The Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman. It's a movie that came out in 2023 just recently, and I knew nothing about it. I hadn't seen the trailer at all.
I saw a little bit. I didn't remember anything about it. I just remember, I remember thinking, oh, it's a PG-13 movie. Probably not going to be all that good, because The Conjurings, all these movies are rated R. So I said, I guess we could watch it, see how it goes.
So I have to admit, I haven't watched this many horror movies back to back ever in my entire life. And it kind of starts to get to you after a while. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
it
you
doesn't
think?
get to you,
It does
but
not.
for me, I'm like, oh, so
Yeah, and this one I was like, what's happening? What are you doing? Why are you so freaked out? It's just a monster.
right. And so I looked at all the Conjuring movies, and they're almost all rated R. So I thought, well, I'll take a little bit of a breather. I'll watch something that's got a couple of maybe cheap jump scares. I went into it with really just my own expectations that had nothing to do with the movie because I knew nothing about it. PG-13. And I thought the Boogeyman, what a cool concept, because, we all grew up with the Boogeyman. Did you have something like the Boogeyman growing up?
We did. It was a different name, but I can't remember right now. If I do,
Okay, you'll jump in. So we decided to watch this one, and I haven't been this scared in a movie.
Right, you were really scared.
I was really scared since Hereditary.
Yeah.
And
which is a hard R, by the way.
Which is a hard R.
Hereditary, I mean, not the Boogeyman.
When we get to Hereditary, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
So we're going to go right into spoiler warnings. So if you have not watched The Boogeyman, it's been out long enough where it's probably on some streaming services at this point. So go ahead and watch it. And you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've watched this movie and you know what I'm talking about. The tension.
Yes.
Oh, so this movie starts out.
It starts out
really strong.
Pretty strong, right? Like there's this little kid. I'm not sure if it's a boy or girl. It's just a toddler, kind of like in a crib, crying.
Like 2 years old.
Yeah, but before so it's sleeping, and then you hear someone say the name, right? And then the kid wakes up. I was like, okay, is it dad? She's like, daddy, and then it says no. It sounds like the dad, but it's not. With a weird
with a weird. Go back to sleep.
Yeah, go back to sleep, something like that. But the voice kind of like changes its pitch.
I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
I think I have something with auditory things. I don't like to hear things that disturb me, like or disgust me or freak me out.
But how can a voice disgust you?
I don't know. Like
whispers in your ear, like moist. That's disgusting. For some people, that word is disgusting, like moist.
Well, that used to actually get to me quite a bit. Now I enjoy the word. But
listener, write us a comment if the word moist bothers you, because a lot of people it does. It doesn't bother me. Just one more time, moist. Anyways,
so I think it was that they did something to the voice. I call it warbling, which is not a real term in any industry.
Okay.
But I call it they warbled the voice to make it super
like
creepy.
They changed the pitch up and down, kind of like a deep pitch.
It really intense. It just Oh my God. When I think about it, I get chills.
Yeah.
It was really scary.
Which the disturbing part in this scene is, so the kid is crying, and at one point it's like screaming, crying. And it's like, don't these parents have monitors?
A monitor?
There are baby monitors. Anybody who I've ever known that has a child has a baby monitor. I mean, they're pretty cheap nowadays. Anybody can get a baby monitor.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, your child's cry. You know a fussy cry. And this was, I don't know.
Distraught.
This was very scared. This was a scared cry. So nobody comes for this child.
Right.
And this is a recurring
Well, somebody
theme.
does come for this child. The boogeyman
Right,
comes for
the
this child.
boogeyman. And the boogeyman kills this kid.
Yeah.
Like,
you can
immediately.
you can tell by the sound they do sound, they don't really show it, that it just snaps this little kid's neck.
Yeah.
And for some reason really really violently, because kind of like blood spatters on the picture frame and the picture of the family.
And it is right from the get-go, you're like, okay, it's intense.
Yeah, this is strong.
It's ready.
And then cut
and
to the actual family that we're gonna be following, which I remember none of their names.
Mr. Harper.
Okay.
Sadie was the older girl.
Okay, Mr. Harper, Sadie.
And Crawley?
I don't know. I don't remember. I rarely remember names in movies. Milo's upset.
Milo
because
is
we're not
upset.
petting him.
Because
You have to constantly be petting him.
if you're not,
Or he gets upset.
So it's Sadie Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer.
Sawyer.
Her name is Sawyer. What a cool name for a kid. So, and I have to mention that the gentleman who plays Lester Billings, his name is David Malkian, or Malkian. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but we've seen him in a ton of stuff, and I forget where we've seen him, but he's an amazing actor, and I'm really surprised that in 2023, after we've seen him in so many things,
he's one of those faces that you've seen him in a lot, but you can't quite pinpoint.
You can't quite place him. I think he was in the Marvel movies. He was like a villain.
I have no idea. I don't remember.
Well,
we would have to look at his IMDb to see what other movies he was in.
But he had a really pivotal role in this movie. It was really short, but he was basically the
bringer of the
bringer. He was the apothecary in Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
So, like...
Haven't seen that.
What?
Haven't seen that, so I don't know what you're talking about. Is it a horror movie?
Oh my God. Okay.
All right, that's the book.
Book, it's a play.
Oh, right, a play. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah. Know nothing about him.
Well, you grew up on Latin literature. There's no reason why you would have grown up with William Shakespeare. But
that's the movie that Leonardo DiCaprio made when he was a kid.
Oh my God.
I've seen that one.
It is not a movie. It is a play.
So Leonardo DiCaprio didn't do a movie called Romeo and Juliet?
He did a movie named
So I'm right.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay.
But how right are you?
Yeah, it's a movie about, gangs and guns and stuff.
Oh my God.
I remember that movie. Yeah, he was really young. Saw it as a kid. Anyway, the Boogeyman.
So the Boogeyman. So Mr. Harper runs a psychiatric practice. So we actually don't start on his practice. We start on his children who are mourning the loss of their mother.
Of their mother, right.
And Sadie...
Which from the beginning, it's not all that clear how she died.
Right. I mean, they explain it later that she was in a car accident, but they don't really go into a ton of detail. I don't know that they needed to, though.
Yeah. We only see the mom in a couple of shots.
Sadie is mourning the loss of her mom, and we see her go into her artist studio, and this is where it gets creepy right from the beginning. And I don't know what it was about this, but it was really disturbing to me that, like, we saw the creature in the first scene coming out of the closet, and now in an innocuous scene where, like, it's too early to have them have just a random creature in their closet already. But I was terrified as she went into her mom's closet to even just look at her clothes.
Looking at stuff, and nothing's going to happen. She's
right.
just looking for...
And I was freaking out.
Like, oh my God, trying to covering your
I
eyes,
know. I was like
like
this.
something. I was like, what are you doing? There's nothing happening. Nothing's coming out.
I
It's
know.
the start of the movie.
It's the start of the movie, and I'm already like, oh my God. And I'm not normally like that, but
Mm.
I don't know. It was something about the closet. It was like visceral.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Probably the
So,
way it was shot. But by the way, just side note, another a good this is a good technique to survive. In these type of situations. Just turn on lights. This house in this movie looks like they probably electricity was really expensive because they had no lights. They
right?
had no lights. They had no candles. They didn't have any flashlights.
They
They
have no
had
switches.
yeah. They had no. They had nothing. Just a couple of Christmas lights for some reason connected in some sockets.
I know. It was really weird to me that then the lights that they did have were not very bright.
Right? They were extremely dim.
Yeah, and when they did turn on lights, they had this mood in the movie, like the actors were lit, but
Hmm.
everything around them was dark
It's really dark. Yeah.
to give them this sense that like something could be there.
Hmm.
So she grabs one of her mom's dresses and she decides to wear it to school. And you can kind of tell that her dad says, "Oh," like he's shocked to see her in the dress, but
Hmm.
then he says nothing. He
All
just
right.
says, "You look nice."
Yeah.
And I'm just and you can tell that she wanted a reaction,
Yeah, but she got nothing.
but she got nothing.
Yeah.
And right from the get-go, I was like, this freaking guy is avoiding every emotion
Right.
he's ever
This guy,
had.
this guy, you get from the beginning. I was like, I hope the boogeyman gets this guy because he's like, his 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 daughter is like, listen, let's talk. Let's
She
talk about
needs
how
to talk
feeling.
about,
And he's like, no. How about no?
how about no?
How about I do something else and
Right?
ignore you?
I'll get you a therapist
Hmm.
and I'll just do my job.
Yeah.
Like, because he's a therapist himself. You would think that he would understand the need to process emotion, but he just can't. So we see that he's dealing with a few clients.
Hmm.
I think he seems like a good therapist. They don't really get into it all that much, but that his office is in their house,
Right.
which
Which, if you're another tip, if you have, if you're a therapist and you have an office in your house, maybe have a double door or a door where you can lock from the outside
yeah,
in case there's a problem.
yeah, keep those people out.
Yeah. That maybe just rent a studio space,
Have a button.
right? Have a button that calls
Have a button
authorities.
that calls.
Yeah.
None of these things did this guy have.
No.
So they're at school, and Sadie is surrounded by trash humans.
Right?
Like,
And
I know they're teenagers,
this
but
this movie shows you that the real evil in the world are children.
yes,
They are mean, evil little creatures in this movie.
the teenagers that Sadie knows are, I can't even fathom being that insensitive.
Mm.
Like, even when I was young, I was never like that. You
Yeah.
were never like that.
I wasn't a thing.
Yeah. So, so she's like going through her locker and she finds an old lunch that you can tell was from before her mom died because there's writing on it that's from her mom. And so she's like, I've got to throw this away because it's all rotten food.
Yeah.
And this idiot girl who supposedly is one of her friends knocks it into her dress.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
just
was
because they were being very insensitive and stuff, and she kind of like called her, you're a bitch or something, and she pushes her, and then all that nasty rotten food goes on the dress that's from her mom.
Yeah, and I think she picked that dress because it smelled like her mom.
Mm-hmm.
So then she had to go home and wash it. So meanwhile, the Mr. Harper, the dad, has some client that he's not really his client, just some rando dude just walks in off the street.
Not only walks in off the street, walks in off the streets, open his house door, and he doesn't
notice,
and then opens the door to his office, and the only reason he notices is because it's right in front of him.
Yeah.
So he heard nothing, he saw nothing. He's like, listen, this is a good tip for survival in this situation. Just have all the doors on your house locked. If you work from your house, have a doorbell. Let people ring the doorbell and let people knock. Don't just leave everything unlocked willy-nilly.
Right. And it's really interesting that when he does see the guy, he's a little bit startled, but
Yeah, but
he's
he doesn't
not
freak
like,
out or
he
anything.
doesn't freak
And then he
out.
goes like, yeah, if you want an appointment and we need to do a call first, but the guy insists and he's like, well,
Okay.
okay, come in. You get 1 hour for free. I was like, okay.
It's like, okay, I guess. But so he decides to go to, to see the Mr. Billings is his name. And Mr. Billings right off the bat starts talking about how they think I murdered my children.
It's like right off the bat, people are like, hold up, let's go back.
Right.
What are you talking about? How
Whoa.
did they die?
Which he does.
Yeah.
So he does ask about these children and what happened with them. But he's also not at that time like nervous about this guy who's talking about his murdered children in his office. He doesn't call the police. He doesn't do anything at that point. He just listens to what the guy has to say.
Right.
And the guy shows him a picture that was from a notebook that his daughter drew. And
About the creature that
about
they
the
said
creature.
that they saw, and he was like, "Oh, I should have believed them, but I believe them now. I should have believed them before."
And
You
he
know,
says his children were killed one by one.
one by one, yeah.
One by one. So the first one was killed by SIDS. And then he said basically their grief let the creature in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were killed one by one. And
Even though everybody thinks he did it, but he didn't do it, and he's like, "Well, I'm coming to you because you lost your wife. You know what it is to lose someone that you love, and I can't go to the police because I haven't done anything. I can't go to a priest because I'm not religious. I can't go to a lawyer, stuff like that."
yeah. And so he shows him the picture. We don't see the picture at this point, but there's a little spot of blood in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy's like, I think I should call the police.
Yeah, I think I should call the police. And then he does the most idiot thing. Again, if you have a practice of in your house, doesn't matter if it's psychology, your job or anything, and you have a door, make sure that you can at least lock the door from the outside.
Right. Make that person secure
Mm-hmm.
in a specific place. He thinks he's alone. But Sadie has come home from school. She's come home from school to wash the dress.
Mm.
So she's upstairs. And while, the brilliant thing about this film is how they shoot things. And maybe it was the set as well. But you could see as it panned him going to the telephone and talking to the police and the guy walking up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so creepy.
Yeah. And the weird thing is, okay, so you're going to call the police. He does it with a landline? He doesn't have a cell phone?
He didn't even notice
or did
that.
he do it with a cell phone? Because why does he go to the kitchen? I would just close the door and right there call them, looking at the door and see, he opens the door. Can I help you? What do you want?
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, seems like he's leaning over the counter. Like he's totally unaware of his surroundings
Right.
at all.
Because we got to also go a little bit back. When the guy sits down, the closet door is open. So he asks him, could you close it? And he says, like, what? The door? And he goes, he's very adamant that for him to close the closet door. And then when he leaves to make that phone call, he did close the door. But when he leaves to make the phone call, the closet door is open. So I'm guessing that's what prompted the guy to kind of like leave the room.
Yeah, maybe it did. Because when he gets upstairs, it's like he beelines it for the mom's room, but while making a ton of noise once he gets in because there's so many paint cans in there.
Yeah, but he also stands like a creeper watching
Sadie
watching the clothes. It's like, is this guy a creeper? What the hell?
Yeah. So he goes into the closet of their mom who died. I don't know why he decided to wreck the entire room.
Yeah, that wasn't explained.
That wasn't explained. It was so silly and it was just devastating because her mom's art room. And the art room was filled with paint cans and unfinished paintings and just as though she's about to walk in and continue.
Yeah,
living.
and it made no sense that it was the creature because it was really bright outside that room. It wasn't dark.
I don't think it was the creature. It doesn't make sense if it was the creature.
But it doesn't make sense for it to be the guy either. that was kind of like it wasn't really all that well explained what happened there.
I think it wasn't well explained, but it is good storytelling, I think, in terms of the emotional state. Because this story is as much about grief as it is about the monster.
But the strange thing is, when he was wrecking all that, nobody heard anything.
Sadie heard it.
No, she didn't hear it. She just walked by and she stepped on the paint.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So this leads me to believe that this house has really good sound isolation between the walls.
It's true.
They have like really good. This house was built for musicians, for drummers, for big, loud, two like 10-piece drum kit drummers with all the cymbals, all the fixings. That's who this house was built for. Because nobody hears nothing. Right. Children scream, nobody does nothing. A whole room is wrecked, nobody hears nothing. They have to see paint seep through the door to, let me see let's check what's in this room.
It's so true. Because a key feature of this movie is sound, like the creature and how it makes sound and whether you're making sound, and like nobody hears each other at all.
At all. No one.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. And so Sadie, who's mourning her mother even like times 1,000, walks into this room with paint spilled all over.
All her mom's drawings just ruined.
Not even just ruined, like paints on them and you can get the paint off eventually. Like ripped. They're ripped. They're destroyed. And she hears a commotion in the closet.
Yeah. Like people fighting, someone like having a scuffle.
Right. Having a scuffle. Good job on that one. And then the dad kind of comes in and we think it could be a creature or something.
Yeah, but then her dad realizes, listen, there's someone around here.
There's someone in the closet.
In the closet. You gotta... No, he's not sure if it's in the closet. I think he was...
But Sadie is.
Yeah, Sadie's in the closet, but he's not looking for the guy. He's trying to tell Sadie, listen, there's someone in here.
He is, but remember, Sadie's opened the closet door and walked into the closet, and he goes up behind her and it's like, listen, there's somebody here. There's a man in the house. So they turn around and they see that the guy
is hanging from the closet door.
From the closet door, dead.
Which, again, who built this house? So you're telling me that a guy can hang himself from this closet door.
He's at least 150
right?
pounds.
And the closet door just swings like nothing.
Right.
This is a really
well-built, solid house.
Solid door, closet door on a random room.
The hinges.
Them pretty good hinges.
It's so
that should be the commercial for these hinges.
Right?
You can hang a body off of them and they will not bend.
They will not bend. The door will stay. I mean, the wood must be solid. The hinges must be great. I wonder how the plumbing is.
Yeah. I guarantee you it's not cast iron.
Right? Now, this is one of the first houses that we've seen that looks kind of Victorian and cool, but it makes sense why this family owns it.
Yeah, but on the outside, it just looks like a suburban rando house.
Oh, that's true. Well, it's probably from like the 1910s, and it was one of those houses that was like, what are those called? Not Tudors. I don't know. I can't remember it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I look up architecture all the time, and you just say, "Oh, that's pretty."
Okay.
So anyway, so the police do come, and the police lady, I wish that we'd seen more of her beyond this scene, because
this is the only scene we see her in.
It's the only scene. She, in my opinion, she kind of steals the show right now in this scene, because she listens to the dad. He kind of tries to brush off Sadie and what she has to say.
Yeah, because at this point, so the younger sister, the little one, she's coming home from the bus, and here's another example of evil little creatures that are the children in this film.
Yeah.
When one of her friends or someone on the bus tells her, Jesus, is your dad dead too? It's
right?
Like, what the hell? Why
what
would you
the
say
heck
that
is
to
wrong
a
with
kid?
these kids?
Right?
I mean, I know kids are mean, but are they really that mean?
These the ones in this movie are depicted like really mean. Meaner than mean.
These kids are grounded.
Yeah. I would be like, I hope the boogeyman takes that one.
Yeah, so anyway, so she comes in and she goes by her sister, Sadie. And Sadie starts talking to the police officer saying, are you sure he committed suicide?
Mm-hmm.
And the cop asked her, well, what do you mean by that? And she said, well, I heard a scuffle, like they had a fight. Um, so, at least somebody was listening to them because
Yeah.
the theme.
But then the cop lady goes like, or the detective, I think she's a detective. She goes like, well, there are gonna be sounds when there's someone hanging themselves on your closet door. Like, why would you put it that, that intense when the little kid is right there?
Yeah, I mean, how else are you gonna say it? I loved her tone though. She was very sweet when she said it. Like she was like, "Well, just giving you a little explanation." So
If somebody hangs
somebody
themselves
holds themselves.
in a closet door, you're gonna hear some sound.
So this movie escalates very quickly after
Mm-hmm.
this. Right after Mr. Billings dies in their home, that very night, we start to see things.
Yeah, that's when
The little girl.
the little girl is in there.
I'm gonna look up her name again
Yeah.
because I, for the life of me, can't remember this little girl's name forever.
So she's in her
Sawyer.
Sawyer.
We gotta remember Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
Sawyer.
Yeah.
So Sawyer's in her room, and Sawyer's room is like badass. Sawyer's room has a ton of lights and like string lights, and she's got this really cool moon globe.
Yeah.
I've seen that on TikTok. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
I want to get one now.
The producer of this movie was like, "Oh, that globe from TikTok? We need one of those."
Yeah. Well, it's so cool because she uses it almost as like a weapon in the movie, where like
her little light weapon.
Her little light weapon, because anytime she wants to know what's going on in her closet or anywhere, she just rolls it,
the light,
which
the
makes
light ball.
so much sense.
Yeah.
So if you see this light thing, you know what? I'm gonna post a link to it below in the description on our YouTube channel, because if you want this light thing, I'm gonna find it so that you can buy it. It might save your life.
Yeah. Not sponsored, by the way.
No, it's not sponsored at all. But maybe I can get an affiliate link.
We'll see.
We'll see. So anyway, she is very adept at listening to noises, and the creature starts to make these really strange noises. It's like it's learning the sounds of this particular family.
Yeah. And then is this a point where it just bursts into the room from the closet?
No.
Okay.
This isn't quite that, but that is pretty intense too. So it kind of haunts them for a bit, and then she clearly knows that something is there, and she goes over to Sadie.
Yeah.
But we see almost the very next scene that we hear a conversation between Harper, their dad, and somebody else. I think it was Sadie or somebody, where like they'll talk about their mom when they go to therapy. So then the kids are in therapy.
Yeah.
And they're in therapy.
That's because she is trying to talk to him about the mom, and then he stops her cold and says, "Well, you'll talk about it with your doctor, with the therapist when you go there." He being a therapist, but no. And she doesn't want to talk to him like a therapist. She wants to talk to him
like her dad. Yeah, like talk about her mom with her dad. So they're in therapy, and I'm sure that this is a good technique somewhere, but it's not a good technique when you're being haunted by like a shadow demon. That the technique is the therapist, in order to help Sadie and I'm saying Crawford.
Sawyer.
Thank you. And Sawyer get over their fear of the dark, which they think is the manifestation of where this monster thing is coming from, is she puts this light in the middle of the room. A red light. And the light will slowly pulse until it goes completely out.
Yeah. And then they filmed this scene really, really...
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Really creepy.
Yeah.
Where the therapist starts to walk around, and you're not sure if the monster or the therapist, because the therapist's face is like kind of like evilish, laughing. I don't know. Really
they manipulated the face in these moments. That's what I suspect, to make it look like you can tell that the creature, sometimes it's the creature, sometimes it's the therapist, or it's always the creature, because when the lights do come back on, she's in a totally different section. So I think, then you can see that, Sawyer is seeing this creature. It is so scary. I had the blankets up here. I just could not deal with it.
At this point, I'm like, a survival tip, the kid said nothing.
Right?
If you're in a room and you're looking at a creature, just maybe say, "Hey, can anybody see this creature?"
Right. I would have.
I mean, I guess you can let it, you can let it fly by because it's a child, so she wouldn't know.
Yeah, children wouldn't really know, and no one believes her.
Mm-hmm.
A big theme in this movie is don't believe kids.
Right?
About
Don't believe them,
anything, especially when they're going through
or
trauma.
teenagers.
Or teenagers. Yeah, they're full of hooey. So it's not great. Sadie then she starts to see things as well.
Mm.
And after that therapy session, she starts to kind of investigate and figure out what the creature is after she has all of these encounters.
Mm.
Do you remember what the encounters that she has are?
Well, before she went to a therapist, that's the part where she was Sawyer was in a room, and then the creature, she was talking to her dad. Oh, check to see if there's something in the closet. There's nothing in the closet. He goes, he says, "Oh, I'll bet you $5 there's nothing." He goes,
Yeah.
and then she goes to sleep. But then the creature bursts through the room and through the closet door, and you can see that it crawls under the bed. And that's where she has her little globe. And that, by the way, these kids,
They are brave.
they are brave. They fear nothing.
Sawyer is she's like a rock star.
The only thing they needed is to follow the golden rule, which is to get upset. They didn't get upset all that much. They just got scared. But even with being scared, they investigated everything.
Everything.
She didn't get under her blankets. No, she decided with her little magical light ball, look under the bed where the creature clearly went under, and she saw it go under the bed, and she's like, let me take a peek. Let me take a gander under the bed.
Put my little light ball.
Then she throws her little ball, and the little ball reaches the creature. You can see his face for like less than a second, I think it was. Which that was, I think, my favorite part, my favorite creepiest part in this movie. That scene right there.
You know what is so my rule wouldn't work. My rule would get you killed in this, unless you were actually able to leave the house before the creature got you. Because my rule is like, it's not your business. You either ignore it or you leave. And if you ignored this creature, it would kill you.
Right.
If you tried to leave through the dark, it would kill you.
Well, not necessarily. Because after that scene, she went to her sister's room, which if she screamed in this part, nobody heard her.
Yeah.
Because this house, again,
it has great soundproofing.
Yeah, it's built for musicians.
Yeah. Well, so Sadie starts to see things, and then remember she has she tries to reconnect with her friend.
Yeah, but she didn't try to reconnect with her friend. She just needed her friend to take her to the house because she started investigating.
Mr. Billings.
Yeah, Mr. Billings, and she found his address, and then she went to his house.
She went to his house, and this was really intense. She walks into his house.
Another example of why these kids they're either really stupid or they're really brave. One or the other. There's no in between. There's there's this house that basically looks like a crack house, like a crack den.
Yeah.
Right? And she decides, well, maybe I should go inside. See what's up.
That seems nice.
Yeah, that seems nice.
I'm sure that's got lots of good information.
It's all, it's all tattered. I knock, nobody answers. I'm going to go through the back. There's a broken window, a broken door. Let me just walk right in.
Walk right in. She investigates stuff. She writes her phone number on a blackboard on the
And when she's leaving, she sees black mold kind of like
creeping up the stairs.
Stairs to the second door.
And you know what she thinks?
She says, let me go up there and investigate.
Looks interesting.
Another survival tip. If you're in a house, right, and you see black mold emerging from stairs going up into a second story, just don't go up to the second story. I remember that watching this, I specifically said, you know what? I would have thrown myself out that window right there. Yeah, I would have just ran and I would have thrown myself out that window.
I would not stay there.
I would have a couple of scrapes and bruises, but I would be safe.
You would be alive.
Yes, I would be alive.
And at this point, we had seen a little bit of mold spots on the ceiling and a couple on the floor. And it's interesting to me that no adult in the house noticed this. I don't know anyone who has a home or cares for a home who doesn't notice mold
Right?
growing.
Right?
I don't
Especially
care how
black
high
mold.
your ceiling is.
Right? I mean, look at that corner, all that. That's probably serious water damage.
Right? That's
we better take care of that.
very important. Even minor water damage is an emergency.
So, well, this is not really a survival tip, just a house maintenance tip.
Right.
If you see mold in your ceiling, that means there's water damage. And if you don't take care of that immediately, that's going to be very expensive.
Yes.
In the short run.
Yes. That means that it's come through the shingles, through the wood.
Through the wood.
Through the attic, through all of the trusses, through the drywall, through the paint, and now you can see it.
Yeah. And the insulation now is shot.
And it's been sitting there.
Yeah.
In each of those layers, it was sitting before it got to the next one.
Yeah. And all that means just dollar signs.
That's
just
gotta
spend money to fix it.
We gotta clean the roof.
We do gotta clean the roof.
So anyway, no one notices this, but she sees this in this house and she just goes investigates, and she immediately encounters the mother, who is like
in a creepy part where she has Polaroids and then it takes a picture of her.
Oh yeah,
and then
these light traps.
She looks at the picture and you see kind of like a person appears
standing behind her.
And then when she looks, is the mom.
It was
the
really
wife of
it was very
the guy that killed himself.
And this lady's in another movie.
Yeah.
This lady is in The Walking Dead.
No. This lady is in Predator.
Yes.
That's the movie she's in.
She is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator.
Yeah.
And she's
suburban Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, she is. She is looking for the creature, and she's getting revenge.
She has a shotgun. She's like, I'm gonna kill this creature.
She's just waiting, and she gives us some really cool information where she's like, "So I think the creature's been here since the beginning of time."
Right, and then the lady's like, do you know anything about this creature? And she's like, well, I hope you never encounter that creature. And then she was like, well, my sister saw her. And then she's like, that's when she goes to spiel about the story of the creature, and she thinks it's been here for a long time. And then she tells her it's afraid of the light, so it not afraid of the light, but it doesn't like the light. That's why she's lighting all the candles, because she has candles everywhere.
She has candles everywhere. A breeze could really disrupt her plans.
She's not afraid about, I don't know,
burning the house on fire.
Yeah. It would be so easy. Just go to your nearest box store and just buy flashlights, LED flashlights, and just have a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Or oil lamps, You can buy oil lamps like this one we have right here.
Yes.
And just have them on constantly.
It's a little bit safer. Mm-hmm. It probably doesn't burn down as quickly. Yeah. And it's easier to replace the oil so that you can keep them burning 24/7 if you really choose. Yeah. And he's going to fall. Don't let him fall. Oh, yep. Buddy. Oh, baby, come here. Poor baby. You fell. So so she finds out some really good information, but then the lady stares at her, and this is a really creepy scene. She stares at her and she goes, "Don't move. Don't move.
Don't look back.
Don't look behind you. It's
stay in the light.
You stay in the light." And she aims her shotgun and she blows out Sadie's eardrums.
She starts firing a couple of shots into the nothingness right up next to her ear. This is where movies, I think, get this wrong.
It's wrong.
If a shotgun goes off anywhere near your head,
even in the same room as you,
you're gonna have permanent hearing loss.
Yes.
You're gonna have tinnitus. You're gonna have that ringing in your ear for a long time.
You have to go to the hospital.
Right? Your eardrum has been blown off.
Yeah.
But no, she's not. She just runs away, and she's like
to the car, and she goes home
without any problem.
Fine.
Yeah, makes no sense.
So she gets home, and she believes that the creature is real, I think, at this point.
Yeah, but at this point is you think she goes home. So yeah, you see the scene where she gets home and her sister Sawyer's like, "Oh, what happened? What happened?" And she's like, "Oh, monsters aren't real." She goes into her room and then Sawyer starts knocking on the door and then the door breaks down as the creature.
It's the creature.
There's always a thing with these creatures where they vomit into your mouth. That's a thing that
we've talked about this. Why do they do this? They're like going through your mouth.
Yeah. So another tip: if a creature, it's on top of you, just close your mouth.
Close your mouth.
Don't scream. Just close your mouth. Look to the other way, and that way, if it vomits, maybe it falls in your face. Maybe it goes through your ear, but not through your mouth.
Yeah,
that's grody.
That is disgusting. What do you think? Do you think it tastes like dirt?
I don't know. I always think about that. I mean, in this one, it looked like chocolate Jello pudding.
Oh, that's delicious.
That's what it looked like.
Maybe it's worth it a little.
No, it's probably gross.
Yeah, maybe. So
it tastes like rotten milk.
Ew! Oh, I don't like it.
Right before it turns into cheese.
Blech. That's not how you make cheese.
It comes from milk,
what
right?
What are you talking about?
That's how you make cheese. You take the milk, you leave it outside, you wait a couple of months, and you got cheese.
Sweetie, we have a dairy goat farm.
Listen.
That's not how you make cheese.
That is how you make cheese, and when you pour it out, it comes in little clumps. Haven't you ever poured like old milk on some Cheerios? And has the little clumps. It tastes just like cheese.
Oh, my love. Okay.
And that is how you make cheese.
No. Times 1,000.
So that's why it probably tastes like, like when the milk goes bad before it turns into cheese. It's kind of like that consistency and taste.
Okay.
Only black colored.
Yeah. We are going to have a discussion about this away from this episode. Because that is a longer discussion. Anyway, that's not how cheese is made at all.
Okay? Or so she thinks.
You're adorable. So, anyway, I don't remember. Where are we? Cheese.
She was dreaming. It turns out that she was dreaming that the thing broke into her.
Oh, right.
And then just vomited.
She was dreaming.
Evil goo into her mouth.
Evil goo, right. So she wakes up, and then I don't remember what happens.
She just wakes up and she walks outside of the room, and then I think there's a part where her dad is cleaning the room of her mom.
Oh, that's right. Yes, thank you for reminding me. So her dad, being the non-emotionally communicative, disconnected
from
man
his family
that he has become, he's clearing out all of their mom's stuff. And it's like, we just got to get rid of it. And she's like, excuse me?
Yeah, he's like, this is the reason that she has,
this is the reason why Sawyer has been seeing monsters, is because we haven't been able to move on. And I'm like, yeah, because you know how great forcing emotions works, buddy. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the worst therapy move, and really even worser. Worser? That's not a word. But we just made it up. The worser parenting move of the history. So he's taking all this stuff. Anyway, Sadie convinces him, I want to keep it. And she takes everything down into the basement. Yeah. And because at this point, he's like, oh, no, you can't keep it. You don't know how I feel. And she's like, well, just tell me. How do you feel? Yeah. And he's like, okay, keep everything. Right. He will do keep anything. What you want. And she's like, what if I want everything? Then keep everything. And just walks away. Just put it in the basement. Right. I like that he's willing to do anything to stop from talking about emotions. Right. I'm like, okay. Jesus. So she goes down to the basement, which, again, another room in the house that has no lighting. Zero lighting. Like one little lamp connected into a wall. Whoever made this room not only made it for musicians, they made it for people who hate light. For no light whatsoever. Yeah. It's insufferable how little light is in this home. But the shots that they get are gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Really good shots. They are really good shots. So she finds a bunch of cool stuff in her mom's things. One of them being a lighter that her mom used to light marijuana.
Yeah, the devil's lettuce
The devil's lettuce.
appears again.
The Mary Jane. So she takes this lighter and she holds it out in front of her, and she's just so desperate. And she says, "Mom, if you're here, move the flame to the left."
Yeah, and that's a thing. She tries to communicate with her mom during the whole movie.
Yeah. Which this has happened now in 3 movies that we've seen.
Right.
Children trying to communicate with their mothers who have passed.
It's like that's a thing.
That's a thing. So
at least in the movie universe where there's no toothpaste, children also try to communicate with.
True. If you don't understand the toothpaste reference, you're gonna have to go back to the last episode, which was
Exorcist.
So so she doesn't receive any sign.
Mm-mm.
And she decides to just continue on her life. She also finds a camera that has a recording of her mother speaking to her when she was a baby.
And she's singing this little song where the creature sings the song. Before the scene, you hear the creature singing the song.
Right. The creature's learning her mother's voice.
Yeah, it's learning her mother's voice, but the creature never heard it before, so how would it have known about the song? This leads me to believe that the creature somehow can read thoughts.
Well, I love that theory. However, you're wrong. Because earlier, Sadie was singing that song to Sawyer.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, completely missed that.
Yeah. So she goes to school. She meets with her terrible friends, and they're like, "Well, we can go hang out."
Yeah, we can throw. No, she's in the bathroom at her school watching the video.
She's watching the video.
Her supposedly best friend, right? She's like, "Oh, let's hang out. Let's go for a party, or we'll come to your house and we'll hang out. We'll do a little party stuff."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't want a petty party or nothing like that." And like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll come over."
Party, I swear. And this is another thing. You know how I always talk about how if you're going to survive horror movies, you need to have good interpersonal relationships. Well, this is the first time I'm going to address this, but it also has to extend to friends. You can't have the influences of people around you that are cruel or insensitive to your pain. It's toxic, and it seems to invite demons, So her friends come over, and I love how they shot this. They have this cool party,
at the beginning, right? There's gonna be a party, and then they cut to them
They cut to the friends are like, they're so bored.
Right, doing nothing.
What did you do with your friends when you were a kid?
I don't know, play video games.
You played video games. You played Street Fighter.
Video games and, musical instruments.
That is wonderful.
And skateboarding.
Yeah. I made cool little, sculptures out of sticks and stuff with my friends in the dirt.
There you go.
And, I think it's really important that in this scene, she's with her friends. They're all sitting around her bedroom, and they're like, "Do you guys have any alcohol or anything?"
Well,
that's all they want.
Yeah, but then she goes like, "Oh, I got something better. I got the devil's lettuce."
Well, she says, "I've got hard
drugs," and then she pulls out the devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce, which is
from her
mom, which is years old, and her friends are awful. Because if that's all your friends want to do, I'm not saying that that's a terrible way to live, but if it's the only thing that you do, it's not the best. So, what are you doing? Are you letting him lick you? So, they end up getting really bored because Sadie takes a puff of the devil's lettuce and she coughs and coughs and coughs. And she goes into the bathroom and she pulls out this tooth connected to a string that earlier she was trying to help her sister, Sawyer, get a loose tooth out of her mouth by connecting the string to a door. And the creature is the one who slammed the door and really got the tooth out, and then he took the tooth.
Yeah, and at that point you're like, he just likes teeth. Maybe this is the tooth fairy.
So tumor. That's cute. I actually thought that he was like craving the blood or something. Like he
Yeah, he
wanted
was.
pieces
Could you
of
imagine
him.
just this creature just takes a little tooth and starts licking it, and just suckling on it? Like,
God,
there's a little bit of bone marrow right here.
so gross.
Yeah,
So Sadie pulls this tooth out of her mouth, which is to me was reminiscent of when, that disgusting stuff went into her mouth.
yeah.
And
Probably
like,
he did vomit something in her dreams and then just put a
oh,
little.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really disturbing. But then her friends for some reason want to go into the closet
Yeah,
that
because
Billings died.
the guy killed
Yeah.
supposedly what her, and they asked her because she's freaking out about the tooth, and they asked her, where did the guy die? Was it this
Yeah.
closet? And she goes like, no, it was in the closet for my mom's studio. And they're like, can we go see?
Yeah. So they go to her mom's studio closet and immediately they lock her in.
Right?
They lock her
Well,
in.
what type of friends are these?
These are just awful, awful, awful people.
So the monster comes, she's freaking out, and the monster is gonna get her. But then she gets to open the door, and then this is one of my favorite parts in this movie when she goes to that friend and she just slaps her.
Yeah.
She just socks her across the face, like, "Ha, this is what you get, bitch." That was my favorite part of this film.
Yeah. It was very satisfying because earlier that friend had also taken the video recorder that had the last images of her mom left on video and was like using it.
Yeah, but then she said, I wasn't
What did
recording.
you record? And I'm like,
Still,
dude,
don't touch it.
still, that's awful. So the friends leave, calling her a psycho. I'm like, good
Yeah,
riddance.
their friends leave. Then she follows. Something happens where they leave Sawyer alone playing video games.
Yeah, he goes to talk to Sadie upstairs about what happened, and Sawyer's downstairs
Again,
playing video games.
with no lights on. Why? I would just turn on all the lights.
Yeah, no lights
All
at
the
all.
lights.
And the creature appears and slowly starts to circle her and eventually just grabs her and slams
Slam
her against the
TV,
TV.
which makes no sense. Just eat her already if you're gonna eat her. You know.
Well,
and then he slams her into the TV, and then her dad, and then
they come and they take her to the hospital.
they take her to the hospital.
So then Sadie says that she believes her.
Yeah,
finally.
because she saw it in the thing,
Yeah.
which then she tells her dad, and her dad is like, "Well, were you high? I can smell the marijuana on you."
She did say that. However, I think something shifts in that
Survival
moment.
tip.
Yeah.
Another survival tip.
Okay.
Just, believe your children when they talk to you.
Most kids are not habitual liars.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they tell you something that's not true, I bet you that they believe it.
Yeah.
And that is important. It's important to acknowledge that and make them feel heard.
A good survival tip.
It's a good survival tip and probably good parenting.
Yeah. Believe your children.
Yeah, we believe you, Milo.
Unless they're the little evil ones in this film.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
those evil
Tell
kids
with
are
those
awful.
ones. Yeah.
So, Sadie is really upset with her dad because she feels like he's not listening. So she decides that she's going to go handle it herself. When Billings' wife, whose children died, remember the one from the creepy house?
Mm-hmm.
She calls Sadie and says, "I think I have a way of ending this tonight, but I need your help."
Need your help. Get over here.
Yeah, get over here, stat.
Another survival tip is a random lady that left you deaf because she shot a shotgun next to your ear.
Head.
Calls you in the middle of the night. Listen, I got a plan. Maybe don't. Maybe say, okay, we'll do it tomorrow.
I'd be like, I'm busy.
Right?
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Maybe we won't be doing this right now.
Yeah. So she goes over there against our judgment. She goes over there. And this lady has a trap set up for the creature. Immediately hits Sadie on the head, traps her so that this creature will come, blows out all the candles.
The creature blows out all the candles.
Yeah, the creature blows out all the candles. And this trap's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And for a second there, you think, oh, the creature's not going to fall for it. But then he does. So he goes in the trap. He gets shot like 13 times. And it's on the floor right there. And she shoots him. This lady does the correct thing. It's on the floor. She shoots him on the floor like twice.
No, I think it's just once.
Either way, she did the double tap. So what she should have done is get a little bit, of gasoline and just light him on fire right then. And then,
Yeah, that would have been better to use the thing he doesn't like, which is light.
right?
So she does a double tap, but the creature is obviously still alive and just murders her.
Yeah, just grabs her. She shoots her a couple of times, but then it murders her. You know.
So
She
Sadie
is.
runs out of the house.
Yeah,
She calls her dad, and her dad is like, "Well, we're leaving the hospital. We're actually almost home." And she's like, "Oh my God, you're going home?"
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Yeah, we're right here." And she's like, "Don't go in. Go to a public place. Go to where it's light." And he believes her.
Right.
And he says I think he realizes that he's disconnected from his kids, and he says, "Okay, I'm listening." And he goes to turn around.
Yeah, the door opens and he turns around, I'm listening, and then the creature just grabs him.
The creature grabs him and pulls
him into the house.
So Sadie, of course, starts to book it.
Yeah, because Sadie right now she crossed to the golden rule. Now she's upset.
Now
so
she's
not
upset.
afraid. So anger trumps fear 100% of the time, and this lady's like, now I'm angry.
Once you get angry, you start to make plans,
Yeah.
or you've already made plans and whatever, but you start to go on the offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually how you're the last one standing.
Yeah. So she runs into the house and she goes in and everything's dark because somebody probably cut the power because they didn't pay electricity for some reason in this house because there's no lights whatsoever. Yeah. So she goes and then she finds her sister hiding in a closet with Christmas lights on.
Sawyer's a smart kid.
Christmas lights, and she's like, well, it doesn't like light. So she just wraps herself around with light. Yeah, if I'm wrapped around light, it won't catch me because I'm just light.
Right? So then she asks, well, where's Dad? She grabs a hockey stick. And she's like, I'm going to get him with this hockey stick. Yeah, because it's kind of a silly thing. Yeah, but I guess
it made no sense because she saw, we can hurt it because, she saw that it was shot. But I was like, okay, so a shotgun, like 5 to 10 shots with a shotgun didn't do anything. What is a hockey stick gonna do? Pretty sure nothing.
No, but she's determined. She's got to save her dad. She's in anger mode. She's on it.
Yeah, right. She's
making it happen.
She's not afraid.
Right, she's not afraid. So she's heads down into that basement.
Yeah, and then her sister's like, I'll join you. Just wrapped around Christmas lights.
Here's the other thing: survival tip. I haven't really had many survival tips in this one, but I'm going to give you one. If you had made better interpersonal relationships, I have at least 1 or 2 people in my phone right now, or if I told them something weird is happening and I need you to come with a hockey stick of your own to help
with a weapon,
with a weapon and help me beat it like a supernatural thing.
They'll probably come with machetes, with guns, with AR-15s.
Right, they would believe me. Now they may think I'm also crazy.
But they will be here.
They will be here.
Right.
So, like, you gotta build those bonds.
Yeah, but this is a kid, Well, she's a teenager. What's she, like 16, 17?
Listen, if we're gonna hold those kids responsible in Talk to Me, we're gonna hold this kid responsible for her own safety.
Oh yeah.
And I would say in this scenario, especially if you've gone through grief, you gotta try and have people you can rely on and start building those people. So, and remember, like, do you know how hard it is to make friends after 30?
No, you don't make friends after 30.
There's no friends after 30.
There's no making friends after 30.
Right?
The friends you have up to the point where you get to 30 years old, that's it. There's no more friends. Nobody wants friends. Everybody has stuff to do.
Everybody's busy.
Nobody has time for that. Trying to learn what people like, what they don't like, if they think this. No, nobody's going to do that.
No one's going to show up to help you defeat the creature in the basement.
They will say, if you need help defeating a creature, you can count on me. But when you call them, they ain't coming. They're not going to be there. They're going to be like, you see, I have
a thing.
I have a sports thing that I got to go to.
I got to go.
Yeah, like. Or they go like, I'm never going to do that when they're drunk. It's like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. But
Anyway, so. So true. It's so true.
It is.
Life is hard. Anyway. So she heads down into this basement with only her phone light.
Right.
I do wish.
And her sister with the
Well, her sister joins her afterwards, and it's like, I'm here for you. These kids, no
wrapped,
fear,
all wrapped with Christmas lights.
right? No fear at all on these children. And they go and they see their dad. And I don't remember. Okay,
Well,
it
they're
was
looking
so
for their dad.
dark.
Yeah, no, but they're looking for their dad, and they see the dad. The creature has the dad, and it's kind of like sucking his life force.
Oh, really? I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, it was pretty dark, but that's what it was doing. And then when it saw them, he dropped. He dropped the dad. The creature dropped their dad, and then they're like scuttling around. Oh, the creature! And then they grabbed the dad, and when they tried to get their dad up, his leg broke. Like, but it like broke.
Like real
You could see
hardcore
kind of like turning in a way where it's not supposed to turn, and you can hear the snap, crackle, and pop.
Like the props department got involved, kind of broke.
Yeah, the folly that don't worry. I know how a breaking leg sounds, and they got that sound like really good.
That right. Epic battles ensue.
Right, and then they're battling it. At one point, she hits it. She starts hitting it with the hockey stick, and the hockey stick breaks, and she's trying to get the piece. But then the creature, which this is a good scene where you actually see kind of like the creature and how it's designed, how the creature has evolved, and it holds her down, and then it opens the mouth, and then kind of like two little hands come out of the mouth.
It's like there's another creature in the creature.
Inside the creature, right? And then it had the voice of her mom, and then it kind of like looks at her and starts stealing. It's not her blood. It's kind of like her life essence.
Something. We called it her goo.
Yeah, her goo.
That movie, we were
sucking her goo.
Goo.
Right? And then you're like, oh, well, it's over. She's dead. But then the dad stabs the creature.
Yeah, and I've got to say, if you're a fan of horror movies on any respect, even if you're a fan of sci-fi or fantasy, you can appreciate a creature that is designed in a unique way.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing else, you have to appreciate this creature for being so unique. It is such a cool design.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the dad stabs it.
Yeah. And then they're fighting, blah, blah, and the lady's light goes out because, it gets disconnected, which the only light was coming from the Christmas lights that were wrapped around Sawyer. So then it's disconnected. They're all together, all three of them, and
in
then
the dark.
And then she lights the lighter.
She lights the lighter from their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And remember earlier, she'd asked, if you're here, Mom, please move the light to the left. Move this flame to the left. And the flame is slowly going out until it finally flickers and it's not lighting anymore. Mm-hmm. There's nothing left. And the creature, you can tell, is going to just murder them.
Yeah.
And suddenly it just flames like crazy and it moves to the left, all the way.
And then she gets a spray that Sawyer had at the beginning.
Wait, because that was so emotional.
Oh, okay.
That moment, I had to grab your hand. Yeah, and I almost cried a little bit.
It wasn't emotional for me. It's like, okay, they got there's a creature, time to kill it.
Okay. Well, so then the flame starts to go crazy. She grabs a can and she starts to do the can spray. Aerosol can flame situation. And then the aerosol can, she's winning. She's pushing it back.
Yeah.
And then the can runs out of juice.
Right? It runs out of juice. Like, what are we going to do now? And then Sawyer comes with, I don't know, it was maybe a can. It wasn't gasoline.
Well, earlier it was turpentine. It was from the paint supply.
I see.
And that was when I was like, that house is going to burn down. As soon as I saw that turpentine
and then Sawyer just dunks it on the creature.
Dunks it like crazy.
They light it on fire and the whole house burns down.
Yeah. And we still see the creature start to disintegrate, which was very reassuring for me. But and all of its little spindly stuff starts to
all the black mold that it has
be destroyed.
And they got out of the house. The house is really burning.
They're not going to save no saving anything.
They're not going to financially recover from this.
Right? They will never financially recover from this situation.
Nope.
And Sadie, while the house is burning before they get out, she turns to all of her mother's things that are burning, and you can see her dresses are burning and her paintings are burning. And all of her stuff is burning, and everything is burning, and she just says goodbye.
Yeah,
she's letting her go.
Yeah, at this point, she is. She did the correct thing.
Yeah.
If you're in a burning house, don't don't go for nothing.
No, you just have to leave.
Yeah.
You got to get out.
Just run.
Remember, stuff is just stuff.
Yeah, she didn't go grab nothing, not the dress, not anything.
Yeah.
They just ran out.
They just ran.
Survival tip.
Survival tip, yes. So then, you see the next cut scene is for the therapist's office, and they're all three in therapy, which is really great because that's what the therapist was pushing for.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a great session. As Sawyer and Harper are leaving, Sadie hears the therapist go, "Can you come in here for just a second?"
Right? It's like, okay.
Ugh.
And then when she goes in, the therapist is nowhere to be found.
The closet door.
And the closet door is open.
It's open.
I was like, God damn it.
Damn it, guys.
We saw it go, up in flames with ash. It turned into ash. So at this point, I was thinking, so it was maybe all in their imagination, but it makes no sense because they were all experiencing it, and other people and that other lady, or it had family.
I was going to say, like, there can't just be one of these things. How did it move from house to house?
Right? Must have been like a crew.
Or maybe it's capable of moving based on grief. Like, if those spindly things are coming out of something, they must... I mean, it clearly came with Billings into the house. How did it come with a person? Yeah. Was it through... Remember when she consumed something and like she had the tooth in her stomach? Maybe it's attached to her now. I don't know. But she goes and she slams that door shut, and the therapist goes, "Oh," it comes out of another room. "Oh, what did you need? Did you need something?
Yeah, can I help you?" And at this point, it would be, "Yeah, remember you called me to come back in?"
Yeah, I mean, people need to really, if you encounter a confusing situation, you have to talk about it.
Yeah, don't just shut up.
Don't be embarrassed.
Right?
Just talk about it.
Like, didn't you call me to come back? Yeah. Was it you, or did I imagine it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie, it's
Fade to black and the movie ends.
Yes, fade to black and the movie ends, but it's clearly set up for a sequel. It was, I think, it cost like 33 or 35 million to make, and it made almost 100 million.
Okay.
So I think there's a sequel in our future.
I mean, they all survived except for the guy and his family,
Billings
and his family,
and his entire family,
That the movie's not about them. So the hell with them. They can die. Right. But our main characters, they all survived, but they did a lot of things wrong.
I think mostly about communication and maybe removing some insulation if you can't hear your children screaming.
Right? And the house was built for musicians.
It was built for musicians.
With no lights, no electricity, looks like. Looks like it was built in the 1600s and they only had kind of like lamps and oil lamps.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
candles and shit.
They clearly filmed nothing in their home.
Right?
There's no white light anywhere.
No daylight, no bright light. It's all dim. Nobody reads in this house with all that darkness.
Right? Man, there's no cozy nook for reading by the light.
Yeah.
So, I want to break down this creature for a second. How, like, let's say this creature appeared in our home. We can hear each other scream, like, you know what I mean? Like,
you can hear the refrigerator making ice from the bedroom. If somebody screams in this house, you're gonna know. If we can hear the goats outside while we sleep in the house with the AC, with a fan, with the TV, you can hear the goats.
You can hear anything. Anything that goes on in our home, you can hear. Yeah. Like, I don't even know how the creature would silently sneak anywhere.
No.
There's
no way. And Milo would scream like crazy.
Oh, that's true. You're such a wuss.
And then he would poop himself.
Yes, he tends to do that when he gets really scared.
Yes.
So, if we were haunted by this creature, right, what would be your strategy?
I don't know. Burn the whole house down.
I mean, could be. My strategy is a little less extreme. I would say it's not hard for us to just turn on a ton of light all the time.
Right? Just have everything on.
I mean, and we can, when you have a light, you can install another light. Right. And when you have that light, you install the next light.
Right.
Every closet is lit. You know what I mean? And you know what you do when you go to sleep? You put a little eye thing
Yeah,
on,
the eye thing.
so you
But
don't.
what if it, if it messes with the breaker and all the lights go off? Get a battery powered lights?
If don't we have something with the computer so they can't ever go out or something?
What?
Don't we have something on the computer so that
Something,
there's
you mean an uninterrupted power supply?
yeah.
Yeah, but that's electricity. What if it can, mess with electricity so it goes out?
What produces light that isn't electric that isn't like a fire hazard?
A battery? A
Okay.
flashlight?
Well, I'm just asking you. Listen, you're the engineer. I don't know.
You don't know flashlights?
I'm just thinking in terms of survival, right?
Flashlights that can be recharged with batteries and
I mean,
no?
that's a lot to
Or
add
you
to
go
your daily
outside
routine,
and you find those bugs that light up.
oh, my little firefly.
A firefly, and then you make a firefly farm, and then you fill a room with fireflies. But then they would look like the eyes, and you would see the eyes moving, and you don't know if it's a firefly or if it's a creature looking at you.
I'm trying to decide if I would have a problem with being killed by fireflies. I don't think I would have a problem with it because it's really cute and they're really adorable and they're my favorite.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's realistic. It's very difficult to breed fireflies. I've looked into it. It's really, really hard. However, I do appreciate the whole battery situation. If we could have rechargeable batteries all the time and we had like a stocked supply and we were constantly replenishing batteries, I would
light
just
everywhere.
move. Like
right?
It sounds like a lot of work in order to fend off this
What you would do is you sleep during the day where everything's light, and then at night you just have lights on.
Oh, I guess that's a great idea. I like that one.
Yeah,
Just become nocturnal.
Yeah, you just shift your internal clock to be nocturnal.
And it makes sense because if the creature's following you and you work at night, you're not really home. Like you're working.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, what are you going to do? Follow me at work?
You're going to follow me at work? Like, there's no closets there. I don't go into closets at work.
Right? Neither do I. Anyway, how about you, listener or viewer? Did you survive this movie? Do you think they did the correct thing? I think they did a lot of things wrong, even though they survived.
Yes, I think that they did a great job. I mean, with kids involved and stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to hear from you. I also would really love to hear what movies you would like us to cover and what survival scenarios maybe have you experienced.
Yeah.
So we have a little story for you before you leave. There is a wonderful little candle shop that's at the antique place that we go to. And they actually produce this candle and a candle over there that's got a little pumpkin. And one of the owners of this candle shop told me a really great survival story where she was driving an 18-wheeler truck. And she and her boyfriend are on this 18-wheeler. And I guess it was her ex and was smashing against the 18-wheeler with another 18-wheeler. And then, of course, he starts shooting at her through the window or something. And so she hops out of the truck and she did a really great survival decision. So she said she was remembering horror movies and she's like, I know they're going to chase me if I run. So she goes into the darkness. She hops over some fence or something.
She says, I'm not going to be like these bimbos in horror movies where you just scream and run and scream. Listen, if you're screaming, they know where you are.
They know where you are.
So what you have to do is you have to be quiet, stay extremely quiet.
Stay extremely quiet. So she huddles down and she stays there for a long time until the police come. And the police officers end up arresting this guy and they tell her, if you'd gone another 5 feet, you would have fallen 300 feet off of a cliff, off of a mountainous cliff. So it was a really smart idea for her to stay down and stay quiet. There's a couple of movies out there where people stay down and stay quiet in movies.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. That's not a horror movie, but it is a good survival movie.
It has horror elements.
It has a lot of horror elements. We might cover stuff like that in the future too.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that. There's a few other movies that I think that we'll cover that talks about that. Because that is a survival strategy in and of itself that we haven't really discussed. My strategy is ignore it and leave. Your strategy is fight.
Yeah, get upset.
Get upset. But we don't really talk about the run and hide.
Yeah.
And that has some merit. So as we go through a couple of movies, I think we're going to explore that. But thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what your survival strategies are and give us some recommendations for movies.
If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment
Yes.
about your survival strategies, and like the video.
Like the video, subscribe. If you're listening to this podcast, please go ahead and let us know what you think, and check out our YouTube channel if you're not already watching. And remember,
Outsmarting the Shadows, YouTube.
Outsmarting the Shadows on YouTube. And remember to be safe, be vigilant, and be the last one standing.
Always.